All right, boys, let's talk about the whole fiasco going on the NA version of the game right now. And this is going to be, I don't know, probably one of the big first global shafts, I guess you could call, that I'm going to be covering here on this channel. We really haven't had anything like that since I've really started my channel. I haven't really got to cover any of these global shafts. It's only really been like global W's, right, where we get certain quality of life things or like the 4-star ticket early. Like it's really only been W's. This is like the first thing that's really odd. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, well, we're going to be talking about the Europa situation over on the NA version of the game right now. But if you have not already, and just, I don't know what you're doing, your boy is on that daily FGO content grind, and all I ask for in return is a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel. I'm on the road to 100K, and I would greatly appreciate it. If you want extra content, I stream every weekday down on my Twitch, which is linked down in the description down below. Also down in the description down below. So we were having some issues with that indie developer that I was talking about in one of my past videos, where basically they need people to beta test their game and they're willing to pay people $35 for beta testing their game. You're basically just going to go on a Zoom call. You're going to play their game for about an hour. As long as you have a PayPal, they can give you 35 bucks for your time. I think it's a really good opportunity to help out a small indie company that's trying to test out a game. I can't really share a lot of the details about the game. I can just kind of tell you that it's very... they're looking for people that have experience with like Fate Grand Order, Genshin Impact, kind of like these anime mobile RPG type games. So if that interests you, first link in the description down below, you can find that. It's a great chance to get 35 bucks if they do choose you. I think they're only going to be looking for about 10 to 15 people, if I remember correctly. So, fill out that application and hopefully you can get yourself like a nice multi or two from that as well. I think that's pretty sick. It's just a really good opportunity that I'm glad they kind of hit me with. So that's in the description as well. But with all the shilling aside and the, I think, great opportunity out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about this Lost Belt fiasco. Now, if we look over here at the JP version of the game of when they released Atlantis, you have, the main info for the celebration or whatever you want to call it, right? Just nothing super major, new stuff's coming in here, who cares, just the good normal stuff. And then we have the first banner, which brings Super Orion and Magikarp in the game, but it also brings this Buster Rider in the game in Europa. But you look at the US version of the campaign and she's nowhere to be found at all. Like, she's just absolutely gone. Like, she's nowhere to be seen. And we're not sure if she's just going to be on the second banner, because the second banner just brings Achilles, Hector, and Estrella back, because if you haven't played Lost Belt 5 yet, maybe you're just not caught up or you just haven't started it yet, they're kind of important to the story. Achilles and Estrella more so than Hector, but Hector's still pretty important, all right? Like, let's not downplay my boy Hector, but the bottom line is that she's not in this story chapter. Like, she's not being released, and this is really odd because they've literally just taken one of the servants that's supposed to go on raid up, and they've just completely removed her, right? And it almost doesn't make any sense, right? Like, my big hypothesis is they're just going to put her on the second banner, but it just seems really weird to do that. Like, I don't know what possible reason they would do something like that. I mean, it does give you technically more raid ups for Super Orion, because now you won't have the alternating raid up of both of these two, right? Like right here. Instead, you just only have Super Orion as the main 5-star on raid up, and you don't have any alternating raid ups, which is really good, right? It's just pretty solid to have him be the only option, but it's still a little bit odd. Like, it's just something notable to talk about, because while I know Europa's not the best servant in the world, she's not super crazy or anything, she still is fine, right? Like, if you look at her kit, like, she has the really good, like, coup dodge-esque skill, right? Where she gets the 3 hits of evasion, but instead for her, it's invincibility, so it's actually way better. And then it's not turn-based, right? So you get those 3 attacks that you can stack, right? Like, you can have these 3 up by the time your skill cools down, and then you're just ready to go to pop it again. Like, it's just a very good defensive skill. The 100% debuff resistance basically means that she's not going to be hit by debuffs. This is just like standard to buff up her like her attacks and her arts performance over here to gen extra NP. The 30% battery is really good with the implementation of a pen skills over here, because that basically means you can give her a 50% battery, at least for that first NP, which is really all that matters when it comes to Koya and Skyo looping, so it makes her really good for that. And then this is kind of just like final wave, or if you're fighting like a boss, it's pretty good for that. I mean, the AoE charm is really good. I mean, if you use Shuten Doji, you pretty much know this is a really good skill to have when you're fighting hard content, and this is just giving her extra damage. And this is, I mean, every servant has to reduce enemy critical attack chance, right? Like everybody has to do that. And then her NP's not like super special, but it does have like the effect where she basically it's a buster mana burst once she fires her NP, right? Because you have the 30% from here, you have the 20% from here, right? So you at bare minimum get a buster mana burst, right? For that turn, which is really, really solid. It's very good. And then you have the Ryoma effect right there, right? Where you just get 50% defense for a turn to make you extra tanky. If for whatever reason you're vulnerable because this is down for some reason, or you got just really bad RNG and wasted all of the attacks on the first turn. But it's just very odd because Europa's not crazy. She's not like a meta staple unit, right? Which whenever I do the Gold Rider video, I mean, we'll talk about her. She'll probably be in like low B tier. Like she'll probably be in there because she's just like generally just a good solid servant. She's just very decent, right? But she's not being released at all, and that's kind of odd. And I kind of just wanted to poll the community on this, just kind of get some thoughts from you guys. Like, do you think this is a global shaft? Do you think this is something that's kind of like a slight against the global community, or are you going to think this is a global W? Because I think if they just push her to Banner 2 and give Super Orion the full rate up all to himself, I think that's actually a global W, because it means you basically have a way better chance of getting Super Orion because he's the only servant available for these rate-ups. Because keep in mind, he's not going to be available until next New Year when Shiro Muramasa comes out. And then, like, on the days where it's just Estrella, you literally can't get him. So, like, when you have a split rate-up, it makes it much harder to get the 5-star you want. Because on these days, you know, they're sharing the rate-up percentage, right? Like, it just makes it harder to get him. And then you literally can't get him on these days, right? Whereas, at least for NA, he's the only option there. So you can just be like, okay, at least for the campaign period until the 14th, Super Orion is the only person on rate up. He's the only person available. So I'd like to kind of see you guys' thoughts on this in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. I'm thinking as long as Estrella comes out in Banner 2, like they just shift her over there, I think it's a global W. If they completely get rid of her, unless you care about Europa, it's probably still a global W. All things considered, with him just being the only person on rate up. But if like they did kind of like push her out and you were really like looking forward to Europa for whatever reason, then I don't know, might be a shaft for you in particular. But I don't know too many people that are really looking forward to Europa. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. This is kind of like, again, like my first time really being able to experience this since I've like started the channel, being able to cover something this weird that's happening, right? This is really odd for FGO, because usually FGO is just two carbon copies of each other, right? Like the NA version just literally does all the same things that the Japanese version does, just maybe a little sooner when it comes to quality of life updates, excuse me. So it's just like, I don't know, just very odd to see. I don't really know how we handle this, boys, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. You guys have yourselves a nice day, and I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Peace, late, guys.